Hi, this is Michelle. I am just about finished with this Bucilla Santa's Black Bear cabin stocking. All I have left to do is to make his little branch with his marshmallows on it. So I thought this would be a good time to make a video, show you how I do that, because I see a lot of people a lot of times asking questions about his branch, and on the Black Bear bonfire stocking he also has a branch with marshmallows, and it confuses people sometimes. So I'm gonna do that for you now. So I'm at piece number 9798. So it says in the instructions to embroider, which that means your little lines on your stick here. I embroidered already. And then it says stuff and applique the front of the stick 97 to the back 98. Okay, so here you have the front and you have the back. And to stuff, well, it doesn't say to stuff with what, so you have options. All right, so you can stuff it with your fiberfill or whatever. You know, you can start to sew this up and use something. I have this little purple needle that my husband made on a 3D printer. I use it to stuff things. You could do that, but then you risk maybe pulling your stitches, maybe not stuffing evenly. You could use a piece of batting, cut in a strip. You could stuff it with that, but what I use is pipe cleaners or Chenille stems. They're both really the same thing. Both pipe cleaners and Chenille stems are made of two pieces of wire. They're twisted together, trapping the fibers in between. The pile is what, you know, is sticking out of the wires. Some have short piles, some have long. So these work for a number of different things. Candy canes, you want to use these for candy canes. The Sugar Plum Fairy, her arms and legs, I like these fluffy ones. Branches, snowman arms, definitely these. So you can buy different colored ones. I like the different colored ones because if I'm working on something like this brown, I'll want to pick out a brown one. So I've got my brown here. I always keep an old cheap pair of scissors. I don't want to use my ginger scissors for cutting the wire because it does dent them up and make them a mess. So I have a brown Chenille stick or pipe cleaner here that I'm going to use. These are pretty cheap. Michael's, Joann Fabrics, Hobby Lobby. If you're making these kits, you definitely want to buy some of these. You will use them. Another thing, I buy floral wire from Hobby Lobby. It comes in a pack of like 50. This is pretty strong wire. It's pretty long. This is great for like fishing Santa, his fishing pole, the ice fishing snowman, works for that. The golf clubs on the golfing Santa and the golfing snowman. Also, another thing you can use, a toothpick, that works good for the golf clubs or anything small that has to be straight. Or you can unbend a paper clip and get it kind of straight and use that. You want to use something that has some strength to it. You don't want to use anything so flimsy that it's just going to bend right over. I mean, you know, you really have to bend these to get them to do anything. This is very strong. I have like a pin here for my daughter's dance. I use it a lot to wrap floss around. I mean, these things are so flimsy that you wouldn't want to use something like that on a stocking because it's going to bend and it's just not going to look right. If you get something with some strength, it's going to hold up and it's going to look nice. Even these are pretty strong. I mean, two things of wire in there, they work pretty good. So what I do is I lay it on here to kind of figure out how long it needs to be, put the little bend in it. And I know that I'm going to cut it like right just a little bit longer than it's supposed to be because I always fold the end over just a little bit and I save all my little pieces. I have pieces from before. Save all those little pieces. I just throw them right back in the little tray. Okay, so I'm going to lay this here, right there, and I'm going to bend just the end here. Just bend it just a little bit because you don't want it to poke out the end and you don't want people to see that. So there's that. And then I'll use one of these little ones for the branch that sticks up there. Just cut a little bit, make it fit, fold the end down a little bit. All right, now I'm going to put these together. So on my number 10 beading needle, which I use this a lot for most things, one strand of 975, because 975 is what you use on the Copper Canyon felt, and that's what this brown is called. So now that I'm using the brown Chenille stem or pipe cleaner with the brown felt, you can stitch that right up in there and you're not going to see it. I like to use the white with the candy canes. It really hides them in there, and it's much easier to use something like this to stuff with rather than the stuffing or the batting. And I do have that pipe cleaner right in there while I'm stitching it up, because if you're stitching it up and you stitch it up halfway and then you insert that pipe cleaner in there, it's probably going to bend a little bit because that is a really tight place, and you may rip your stitches. It may come out in a spot where you don't want it to come out at. So I do stitch it up right while I'm holding the two pieces together. You can pin them together or clip them together, whatever works for you. This is just how I do it. I am working with a 18-inch length here, but as you can see, we still get knots sometimes, so pick that knot out if you can. If you can't pick the knot out, like that one's not going to do, tuck it in. You don't have to cut it and start over. Tuck it in there, hide it, and then keep on stitching. And that'll hold it in there. That knot's gone. It happens sometimes, but there's an easy way to, that works. Easy way to hide it, get rid of it. So keep that in there. I want to get this done so I can kind of show you how I do the little marshmallows on the end too. So as you're stitching your front and back together, just like when you stitch the front of your stocking to the back, tiny little whip stitches close together. You're barely grabbing the edge of the two pieces of felt. The felt is very strong, little fibers in there. They do really hang on to everything. So just grabbing the edge there does do it. You want to kind of make your stitches not be seen when you're doing this part of the work. Your embroidery stitches you always want to see, but when you're stitching front to back, you don't necessarily want to see those. So just grab a little bit. I hold my finger and my thumb so close to the edge that I know if I'm getting too much felt, because then I stab myself. Whatever works, right? So I'm almost done with this. Then we'll get those marshmallows on there. It takes some time. These little tiny pieces sometimes can be a bother, but it's worth it to do them and do them right and put something in there that's going to make them, you know, look stuffed, look 3D, but they're not, you know, it's even. The stuffing, using this as stuffing, is even. It's not bulky, and it's not, sometimes when you use the fiberfill or the batting, you get the little white things sticking out the side, and the only thing you can either do is tuck them in or cut them, but you know, sometimes that doesn't always work. But you want a clean, nice edge. Almost done. It's a lot of tucking in and hiding and trying to get it to look nice, but it's looking pretty good. I like this short pile Chenille stick here, especially for this, because if I would have used one of the fluffy ones, I would have just trimmed off some of the pile on each side just to make it fit in there. A lot of times at Michael's you can find the packs in the dollar bin, and that's what I'll do. I have candy cane striped, I have silver. I don't know what I'm going to use them for, but they were there, so I bought them. All right, so this is done. I have a little bit of the brown Chenille stick sticking out the top here, but the marshmallow is going to cover that. It's just because it's such a tiny little area up there that it's kind of hard to cover all that. Okay, so here's my stick. Now, the marshmallows are going to go on. So these marshmallows, they are tiny. So you have to embroider the marshmallow with the gray, and then you put your sequins on. So, and it says to stuff these also, but these are tiny. Like these are about as big as your thumbnail here. So how are you going to stuff those? Here's a good thing. Take a little piece of felt. It's just a little scrap. I did like a little rectangle, a little bigger than the marshmallow itself. And I'm going to put that in the center there. That's going to be my stuffing. Again, you can stuff it with a piece of batting or a piece of the fiberfill, but you know, you're going to be trying to hold this. You're going to be trying to stuff it, and it might not all go in there right. So sometimes on little pieces, like Santa's nose, if you have like a little carrot on one of the little snowmen or one of the little animal parts, if you have to stuff it, sometimes cutting just a little piece of felt that's the same color works. It puffs it up a little bit, makes it appear to be stuffing, and it's not just, you know, flat. So you can even use a little piece of stuffing in these. Just do whatever looks good to you, but this is how I do it. It works. So I've got one little marshmallow on here. And I'll do the other one real quick. Since I've got you on here, I don't want to keep you too long, because I know that if you're at home and you're making this, you want to get back to it. You don't want a long drawn out video. So try to get this last marshmallow done here for you. One strand to put the back on the front of the marshmallow. So here's that. There's my little piece of felt stuffing. Put that in there, hold it together, stitch it up. Hide your knot on the inside in between the two pieces, in between the front and the back. You always want to hide your knots if you can. And that's how you make the little marshmallow holder. Not too difficult. It takes a little time. It takes a little patience. Definitely, I just do it all at once. Embroider and put it all together all at once just to get it done. And then tie it off. And that little branch is all done. So see, here you go. Looks pretty good. I'm ready to attach it and I'll be all done.